So welcome to another StitchCraft, where we're going to continue building on the application, the pickstream application, and adding more features with MongoDB Stitch. So let's get to it. First, I want to, like always, give a little shout out to the blog post that I made about last week's episode. Um, so you can read this, find it on the MongoDB blog. And there is going to be a link to the recording and the repo as I left it. So I do make sure I tag uh, the repo after I push things from the live coding session, so that way you can get a snapshot in time for each video. But check that out. Another thing that I want to point out is that we are partnering with DigitalOcean this year and doing Hacktoberfest. And so what we're doing is challenging people to create applications using uh, MongoDB Stitch. So if you go check out the blog post, which is located on the MongoDB blog, and I'll make sure to put a link to it. If you have a MongoDB Stitch application, you can export it and upload it to GitHub, and then you can also put this nifty little badge on it, and then tag it. And we are going to have some prizes. So we are giving out $500 in gift cards, and the first creative entries will receive a MongoDB t-shirt. So if you haven't gotten your MongoDB t-shirt yet, this is a great way to do it. So, you know, do something like what we're doing here, use it as an idea as a starter, but create something new. If I have time today, I'll go through adding the badge and the tags to the repo that I'm using right now, so you can see how that's done. All right, so Pickstream. Here we are. I haven't made many changes to it since the last time we talked, but I did clean up this this icon, and so like it kind of lives down here, and it sits over there. So it still brings up the share. You can still share via email, and that's great. What I want to look into today is I want to play around with AWS Rekognition. So what that's going to allow us to do is to analyze the photos that we upload and tag them. So instead of having to like depend on ourselves to do the hashtag, we can use a feature of AWS Rekognition to pull to analyze the photo and give things. So like looking at my AWS console here, I can switch over to the Rekognition service, and we can take a look at like what's basically going to happen, what we're going to build in. So we're going to use the object and scene detection. And as you can see, there's a photo, and then it gives a result of tags. And so it gives the tag. So there's definitely a skateboard in here, sports, human. There's a human in there. And then it tells the kind of the confidence as a percent of how well that is. So if we show more, you can see as we get down here, down to the bottom, a bumper. There might be a bumper. Yep, there's definitely some bumpers. Street, housing, downtown. So what we're going to do is whenever we upload a photo to S3, we're going to after we upload the photo and then write it to our collection, we're going to use an insert trigger. And whenever that trigger fires, we're going to have AWS Rekognition do the analysis and then update the labels or the tags on that record. So it's not going to be completely seamless. It's going to be a little async. There's going to be some processing in the background, and we might not see it until the next refresh, but we can deal with that later. I just want to be able to run this on the pictures that we're uploading. So we'll see how that works. And how do we do this? All right. So if we go to our Stitch documentation, you can find information on the AWS service which we've been using. It is down here in Partner Services, and we have the AWS service. We've already added it before, so that's already sitting there. And then if you go down, you can see the different services that it. So here's some examples. Here we go. So all the supported AWS services. So there's a lot. But if we look, there is recognition, so we're good. One thing you'll notice that there isn't a specific example for using recognition with Stitch, but with a little looking, it's pretty easy. So we can take like the SES example that we looked at last week and kind of massage that to fit the information. So let's set up our application to use recognition. So I'm going to go in. I've already logged in this time, so you don't have to watch me put in my two-factor auth. So let's go to the Stitch app, and we're going to be playing with the StitchCraft Pickstream application. Great. So let's go back down to the services. The AWS one has already existed. We've been using it for S3. We've been using it for SES recently. And now we need to set it up to where we have access to recognition. One thing that you're going to want to make sure you do is to update whatever user, the client ID and secret we're grabbing this from, also has permissions in AWS to access recognition. I just have one user that has access to everything that I'm going to use, and I add it as I use it. So it's not like some kind of all-powerful super user. Nothing's going to go bad if something happens. So let's add a new rule, and I'm just going to call this Rekognition, and add the rule. And we're going to go over here in the actions that we're going to use today. So let's change the API to recognition. And the action that we're going to use today is detect labels. And you could have a when, so you could specify different things based on the call and verify those, but we're just gonna let us call it. So we're not gonna put in any special when cases for that. So it's going to always be true. So we'll save that, and now our service is ready to use. Looking at this earlier, I noticed that we're not really saving all the information that we need into the database. So if I go back out here and I'm going to open that in a new tab, we're going to look at our collection, and we're going to do that using the Data Explorer that's available in Atlas. It's one of my favorite new features that was just released to the free tier. So I can go ahead and take a look at my collections without having to use Compass, without having to use the MongoDB shell. It's just a quick way to handle that. All right. And we're going to look at Pickstream. So one thing that we did, and part of the problem with not knowing what we're going to do with this application until we do it is it's kind of hard to build a schema. But the good thing about MongoDB is that you can change the schema, and it's not that big of a problem. Where did it go? All right, let's go back out. I want to see my collection. All right, we're retrieving the collections. Here we go. Gonna reload this. It's taking a bit. Okay, well, while that's happening, let's switch over to the code view and take a look again at the function that we did to write the information to MongoDB. Down here, here's our handle file upload, so that's what does the bulk of the work. And then down here in this then is where we make the request. So we're saving information about the URL, so that's created using the name of the bucket and the key. But what we're not doing is actually saving the bucket and the key, which would be very helpful if you wanted to say run cognition on an item that's saved into your bucket. So we're going to go ahead and just add those fields. So let's do, say, S3. And in here, we'll do bucket. And I'm just going to name it bucket and key. All right. And so now we're going to be passing those in for future ones, and that's just going to make it that much easier to run recognition on the images that we have, because well, you'll see whenever we write the function for the trigger, it's going to be necessary. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then we'll be ready. I think that's really everything that we need. Go back over here. All right. Data Explorer is just failing me today. That's sad. All right. So let's go over and we're going to create a trigger. And we're going to add the database trigger. It's going to be a database per trigger, not an auth trigger. And let's call this trigger analyze photo. Or we'll say pick. I keep using pick, so let's be a little consistent. For the collection, the database name is data, and the collection name is pickstream. And the operation that we want to do is an insert. So whenever it is inserted, we want a trigger to fire, and then we'll fire a function. Cool. Let's see. Do we want the full document back? Let's take a look at what's happening with the change event in the docs and see what, okay, so here's an insert event. So what do we get back with the insert event? So it looks like this. We've got the full document. So it looks like, does that give us everything that we have? So document key, the document key includes both the ID and the username. So that's who did it. So it looks like if we want that information to come back, we are going to need to use the full document. So let me turn on that. All right, so we're going to get the full document back. We're going to do an insert on this information. For the advanced, we could put a match expression, but really we want every time there's an insert. So we're not only going to run this on certain types of images or something like that. So we're just gonna leave that blank. And for the function, we're going to create a new function. We're going to name it. Let's call it. So bad at naming things. We'll just keep going with analyze pick. All right. And we could continue working with it here, but instead I'm just going to go ahead and save it and then go in through the other way. So if we go into our functions, we'll see that analyze pick is here. And now we are ready. So we have our change event, and it's going to look like this, and we're going to have the full document. So we switch back over here. We're going to need a reference to our AWS service. And so we can do that using context. And so I'm going to do const AWS is equal to context. Nope, that's context dot services dot get, and we're going to get the service that we named AWS. Awesome. So we've got that. And now we can, oh yeah, how do we run this? So if we go back to, where's my documentation? Too many things open. Okay, so here, so we can kind of gather based on what we put into the rules, the name of the function that we're going to run. So I'm just going to go ahead and save, and let's go back and look at the rules. Not the roles, the service rules, the rules for the service. So down here in Rekognition, the name of the action is detect labels, and so we're going to use that. The name of the API is Rekognition, so we're going to use that. And if we want to see what goes into that, we can go back to our documentation, and we can look up the references in the there's a link here. So it matches the references to or it matches the form of the AWS SDK for Go. So let's open up that. And we'll take a look. We'll find the recognition service. There it is. And then inside the recognition service, we want to see, well, let's look at examples. Is there a detect labels? Cool. Okay, so it looks like the input that we're going to need is an object that takes an image, and we're going to give it information on S3. So we need the bucket and the name. We got max labels, so that's how many labels we want to get back. So we can pick 10, we can pick 5, whatever. Because as you saw from the demo, there was a lot. And then min confidence. So we can say, don't give me any labels that are less than 99%. I want you to be very sure. So we can set them in confidence. And so we need to build an args object that looks similar to that. So let's go back over to our Stitch admin. We'll go back to our function, and we will start building that object. So analyze pick. It's not really how you spell analyze, is it? I don't know. We'll worry about it later. So let's do args is equal to, and so here's our object, and we need to give it an image, and that, okay, and that image takes an S3 object. Cool, so we got that. And the S3 object takes a bucket. We'll fill that in a minute. I like to do single quotes. And then it also takes a name. So that would correspond to the key of the object. All right, so the bucket, if you remember from a long time ago when we did, well, it seems like forever ago when we did saving it to the S3 bucket, and I can switch over here, you can see that the name of our bucket is StitchCraft Pickstream. And so I'm just going to paste that in. You'll start to notice that we're starting to copy and paste things a lot of places, and we could save that information into values and then call it back out. So think of it as like environment variables for your Stitch application. Whenever I clean things up, maybe I'll go through and do that, but for now I'll just put it in. And then we need the name. Okay, so actually, we don't need a value and we don't need to copy and paste because this information we're getting from the change event. So let's get the inserted pick, and so that's going to come from change event dot full document. And so that's going to give us, if we look back over here in the change events, we're going to grab the full document, and that's going to give us everything we need for this picture. So awesome. And did my cluster come up? It's still working. Go back to overview, go back to collections. There we go. All right, so if we look at Pickstream, we'll get back all of this, including the new stuff that we just added. It's nice to see that popped up and is waiting for us. So here's our full document, and we're going to do for the bucket, that is going to be inserted pick.bucket or .s3.bucket. And here we are going to do inserted pick.s3.key. So we named it key. I don't know why in this API they changed it to name. I think being consistent with key would have been the way to go, but what do I know? I don't work for Amazon. All right, and so now we're going to give it some niceties. Let's set them a max labels, And how many should we do? Let's do 10. Okay. And a max confidence or min confidence. Min confidence. Spelling is hard. And this has to be a float. So if we wanted to do 99%, we'd need to do 99.0, just so we make sure that it gets turned into a float. And I'm going to do 97.0%. I think that's good. We'll see what that gets us. Again, completely arbitrary. I don't know what confidence. 99 sounds good. Like I want you to be very sure, pretty sure. Okay, so now we've got our args, and we can pass that into the function. When we did all this stuff on the front end, we had to build the request and do things like that. So the SDK is a little different than how you do things on a server-side function. So to do that, we're going to, I'm going to do a return because this is going to return a promise. And so I want this function to return a promise. But now we're going to do AWS. And just like we saw on the rule and the services, we are going to call recognition. Recognition. The K gets me every time to get access to all of those functions. And then we're going to use the action. So that is detect labels. And we're going to pass it the args that we just created. Cool. And so that is going to, that would run, and it would pull back all of the labels. So let's go back over to, I think I have an example somewhere, what it looks like. Is that still up? Maybe I did. Maybe I put it over there. Okay. So here is some documentation that I found on the AWS site. And so it actually also tells you what should be put in. So that's nice. And it looks a little more like JSON because it is. And then it will tell you what comes back out. And so we're going to get back an array of labels, where each label object is going to have a name and a confidence. And that actually looks pretty good to me. So I think we should just do it and then save it to the image that we upload. All right. So then we are going to need a then. So then, and we are going to get a result back. And we're going to do something with that result. And I'm going to put a semicolon there so that it stays. Now we need to have access to the collection so we can write back to it. I'm going to save because I want to go back and copy and paste it. So we update ownership. Cool. So we got access to the MongoDB Atlas or the remote service through this. So I'm just going to copy it. And we're going to go back to our function. And I'm going to put this right in here. So now we have access to MongoDB. And so we want to do an update. So let's do update. We're going to return because the update will return a promise. And so we're going to update, or we're going to do MongoDB dot database, and that's going to be data. And then from there, we're going to do collection, and that's going to be pick stream. And I'm going to make this look a little prettier. And then we're going to do an update one. We're going to update a single one. And this is going to take a match. So we're going to say that underscore ID is equal to our inserted pick dot underscore ID. And so whenever that, we need to do the update operation, and we are going to set So we're going to do a $set, and we're going to give that an object, and it's going to be, do I want to call them labels or do I want to call them tags? Let's call them tags. I think for this application, it makes more sense to call them tags. We're going to call it tags, and we're going to give it result dot labels. Excellent. And we're just going to return that, so that way there's still a promise being returned. Great. And that should be our function. So what we're doing is we're triggering on insert. We are grabbing the full document from the change event. Then we're running AWS Rekognition on that image that's in the S3 bucket. And then we're writing the information that we get back to the collection. So right now, let's go ahead and, did I save it? Did I save it? Okay, saved, it's saved, it's saved. Let's go and upload a new photo, and let's see if it kicked off. So where is PicStream? PicStream is here. Oh, and there's a wonderful typo. If you want to, how about that? And actually, E-tag should probably go in there too. Let's do that. We don't really use it, but I'm going to put it up there. I just write it because it feels like maybe I should. It's being given to us. We might as well keep it. Okay, let's see if that makes things better. Okay, it's happy again. I'm going to upload a file. Oh, wait. I'm going to choose a file. And let's find my photos, pictures. I haven't uploaded this one. Oh, this is weird. Let's find a good one to update. That's another picture of my dog. It's a picture of me and Mary. Here we go. Here's me and Avi at an event when I worked for SparkPost. We'll do that one. That's a fun pic. We'll see what it comes up with. So I'm going to open it, and then I can upload it, and it's been added. So that's great. Let's go back over and look at our console, because we can look at our logs. Oh, we have an error. Well, that's fun. But it did trigger, so that's good. Let's see what's going on. Uncut promise rejection. Reference insert pic is not defined. That would be because it's inserted pic. So let's go back and fix that function. Here I named it inserted pic. This is probably why I should just, so I got it there and I got it there, but I did not get it there. That's why I should probably just keep copying and pasting. Okay, but let's go over and just look at, so let's refresh. And if we go probably the last one here, where's it, the first one? How is this? Oh, here it is. So we now have an S3 object, and inside that S3 object, we've got the bucket, we've got the key, and we've got the E tag. All right, let's go through this exercise again of uploading a file. So now I need to choose a different one since we didn't implement delete. I mean, I guess I could delete it. Let's do that just for fun. Let's go to my S3 bucket and stitch. And which one? It's probably whatever one is October 4th. So if we do open, that's the photo. So go back to pick stream, action, delete. So I'm going to delete it, and then we're going to go in here and delete it from my database. So here is the object, and I'm going to trash it. I'm going to say delete. And I'm going to go back over here, refresh, and it's gone. So we'll choose the file again. Where was that file? All right, cool. Grab that file again, and we're going to upload. Okay, so it's there. Let's go back over and look at our logs. Back to the logs, back to the logs. We have a database trigger, and it ran, so that's good. So now if we go and we refresh the data, and we find it, it's going to be the only one with an S3 object or subdocument. There it is. Do we have labels? Tags. Oh, look, tags. This is great. So it was able to find 3 within that confidence level, so that tells you something. So we've got human, yeah, definitely some humans in there. People, I'm starting to detect the theme, and person. So that was fun. And so those were all in like 99%. So that tells me that we should probably make that min confidence like we'll change it. Let's go to go into the function, and let's make it 75%. Maybe we'll get up to 10, and we'll get something a little bit better than people and persons. But the good news is that it's running our function on the insert, and it's adding it to it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then one more time, just for fun, I'm going to delete this record. And I'm going to delete, refresh that, find the one that was in that. I'm going to delete it. And we'll try again, just because I want to see what's going on, or what other tags that it might put onto this. All right. Dun, 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 dun. This guy, and if we do a refresh, it's gone. I'm gonna upload, same picture. I'm gonna upload it again. Okay, so it's there. We can always go back and double check our logs, and we've got a database trigger. Awesome. Go back and we'll refresh this data here. And just do a find. Yeah, let's do a find. Where's my S3 document? Here we go. Here's the photo. We were looking for tags. Oh, we've got 10 of them. Sweet. So human, people, person, brochure, flyer, paper, poster, moving van, okay, transportation, and van. So it's very confused as to what that is, but machine learning. We didn't have to do anything. Let's go back to the thing. Yeah, no, so that's an interesting one. So now we have this written, but we're not really showing it anywhere. So I wanted to add the tags to the UI, and I'm going to do that very quickly. We're still using React semantic UI, and they have a nice little tag. So they have a label that you can format as a tag. So let's go into the code here, and it's in the feed. I should really clean this up and break some of it out, but I'll do that later. And let's add label. All right, so dun, dun, dun. We've got the secondary, so the menu. So here's the content, here's the header. So let's go ahead and do the labels. So we'll do entry dot tags, calling them tags. So if we have some, then we're going to do a map, which I thought I did one. Okay, so we're going to do entry dot tags dot map, and that's going to go over tag, and we are going to return label. And let's go back to that documentation. Label as a, do I need that as? I don't know what the default is. Let's see if we don't need that, because I'm not really going to make them click yet. So I do need to say that it's a tag, and I just put, yeah. And so we're just going to do tag dot, is that uppercase name? Uppercase name. Cool, so we return that. Making sure that I close all that. Okay, cool. And then otherwise we can put like just a span, says processing image, because we're a robot. Let's save that and see if it likes it. Oh, here's something fun to do. If you want that to evaluate, you need to wrap it in curlies. Oh, I can add a color. Let's add a color to the tags too while we're already changing things. I want it to be green, so I'm just going to copy this because I like green. Cool. And so they're all going to be green. You could pick random colors to make them change, but just make them not be gray. All right. So here we got processing image because there's no tags yet. And of course, we're not going to be able to, we're not retroactively going back and processing those. Eventually, I'll just clear out those images and we can start again. But now we have the photo that we've uploaded. We can share it, and now it's all tagged. So let's do one more. See if we can find a photo that would have better tags. Oh, that's my niece's. That's me, my mom. Cheeseburger backpack. I should really look. I should plan photos ahead of time. It's my dog again. Students. That's me making a face. Me with a hat. Okay, we'll use this one. There's a lot going on with this. So we're going to upload that photo. And so it's uploaded, and it's going to say processing image, which it's probably already done. So let's go ahead and refresh. Oh, and so we've got tags. So human, people, person, food, food court, restaurant. Well, it wasn't a food court, but it looks pretty good. And so we have that confidence set at 75. So things might not be, very recognizable. So I have a picture of my dog that has not been uploaded yet. I thought things were eating. No, no, no. Here's a picture of Mary and I. Let's see what that does. So we'll upload that photo. And so it's processing. In the future, we could probably add some kind of polling to check for it, and then automatically refresh. But this is happening pretty fast. Cool. So we got human, people, person, computer, electronic, laptop, PC, audience, crowd, press pass. So for what we're using, maybe it would be nicer to allow people to tag their own photos, but it's a cool little demonstration of using Rekognition. Another thing that you could do would be to like tag faces, so you can have it detect the faces, and then there's ways where you can have it actually say who the person is. Apparently, it works really well with celebrities, but that's all we wanted to cover today. So we've got the tags coming in. Just wanted to also point out that the reason I picked a trigger is in case we decide to do a different front end later. So if we decide to add a React Native and do mobile or something else, every time you upload a picture, all that work is going to be done on the back end, and so you don't have to worry about building it in. We could have added to this function that we had here on the front that uploaded the photo, and then inserted the record. And we could have had it, wait to insert the record until we did that. But I like moving some of that stuff to the back end. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. Let's go and look at the Hacktoberfest. So if we go over to, because let's go ahead and add and tag the repository. So what's it say? So create an app leveraging MongoDB Stitch. Cool, done that. Export the app. So I do that every time I'm done here. I run this export. So let me pull up my pickstream thing. So I create export scripts that will use the Stitch CLI, and it will pull all that stuff down, and it will store it inside Stitch app. So we need to add some topics. So let's manage the topics and go back over here to our thing. And so it wants us to tag the repository with MongoDB, Stitch, and Hacktoberfest. So I've got MongoDB. Do I have Stitch? I have MongoDB Stitch. I'm just going to go ahead and do Stitch. And then also I'm going to add Hacktoberfest. Cool. All right, so we've done that. And so we've tagged the repo. What else do we need to do for this to be entered? Now we need to add the badge. So post the badge in the README of the repository containing a MongoDB Stitch badge. See here for more information on badges. So let's go here. Oh, so that didn't copy over right, but it is inside the Hacktoberfest app. So let's go ahead to the Hacktoberfest app, and it will talk about the badge. So you can see the source here. Oh, that's the source. We want the badge. Badges. Okay, so we need our app ID. Here we go. Let's craft the badge. And I'm just going to copy that. We're going to go over to our code. Is this my main repo? No. So I'm going to go up a level. And I'm going to open that in code. And I'm going to go and say, so this is my README. And up at the top, I'm just going to put it after this. Okay, so powered by Stitch. I need my app ID, and to get that, that's inside our Stitch console. If we go to clients, here's our app ID, so I'm going to copy that out and replace it. And yeah, I don't have a link for this. I don't have it deployed anywhere, so we'll just leave this. So I'll save that. Let me look back at the directions again. Okay, so functioning, communicate, badge with. Sure, so we did that. All right, so I'm going to upload just, so git add readme, git commit message added Hacktoberfest badge. And put in my passphrase, and I'm going to push this up. So we can go back over to mine and refresh. and it's up, but for some odd reason, that's weird. It didn't link this. Well, let's go look at the source here. So maybe that's wrong for the syntax. Let's look at the raw file. All right, so I think I might have not copied out a set of square brackets. Like camera 1, camera 2. Actually, it didn't have it in there, so if I do that, that should do it. And okay, so get status, and I'm just going to use the same. And we're going to push it. Cool. All right, so there we go. And hey, the Stitch app is up. And so this is all you need to do to get an app ready for Hacktoberfest. So make sure you export it, export your Stitch app so we can kind of take a look and see all the functions. So everything you write in here, all the functions are available, which is pretty great, especially if you want to have like some kind of source control with your app. Add those tags and then put your badge in. Cool. So that's all we wanted to cover today. Again, be sure to check out the blog post. There will be another one on Tuesday. Um, and if you have any, requests on things that we should talk about, how to use Stitch, anything you think we should add to this application, feel free to shout out. You can reach me on Twitter. You can send me messages. I haven't been paying attention to the chat. Doesn't look like there's any messages there. You can leave comments on YouTube, etc. But thanks. And next week is going to be a little different. I'm gonna be recording live. We'll be broadcasting live from Node and JS Interactive in Vancouver, and my colleague Ken Alger will be joining me. Which will be fun. We haven't decided what we're going to do yet, but we'll figure that out. It's going to be a surprise, but we'll let you know on Twitter. So be sure to follow me on Twitch so you can get notified whenever the next stream happens, but it will likely be 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. All right. So have a good rest of the day, and talk to you later.